In the book The Power of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh, Chapter 1 Introduction provides an overview of mindfulness and its importance in our lives. It begins with a discussion on how we can use mindful awareness to bring peace into our daily life. Through this practice, one is able to become aware of their thoughts and feelings without judgment or attachment, allowing them to be present in each moment as it arises. This chapter also explains that through cultivating mindfulness, individuals are better equipped for dealing with difficult emotions such as anger or fear while still being open-minded enough to accept new ideas and perspectives from others around us. Additionally, readers learn about the various benefits associated with practicing mindfulness, including improved physical health due to increased relaxation response, which helps reduce stress levels, enhanced mental clarity resulting from greater focus on tasks at hand, deeper connection between mind, body, spirit leading towards more meaningful relationships both internally and externally, among other things mentioned throughout this introductory chapter. Ultimately, the author emphasizes that when practiced regularly over time, mindful living has potentials for transforming not only individuals' own well-being but society overall too, making it essential reading material for anyone looking to gain insight into power behind conscious presence within everyday moments. In Chapter 2, Thich Nhat Hanh explains the nature of mindfulness. He states that it is a practice which allows us to be aware and present in each moment without judgment or attachment. Mindfulness can help us become more conscious of our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and physical sensations so we can respond rather than react to situations with greater clarity and understanding. It also helps cultivate an attitude of non-judgmental acceptance towards ourselves as well as others by allowing for moments where we simply observe what is happening around us instead of trying to control it or change it according to our own desires. Additionally, he emphasizes how important self-compassion is when practicing mindfulness, since this will allow one's awareness not only stay focused on the present but also remain open enough for insight into oneself while still being kind-hearted towards any difficult experiences encountered along the way. Chapter 3 of The Power of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh focuses on the benefits that mindfulness can bring to our lives. He explains how it helps us become aware and attentive, allowing us to recognize what is happening in each moment without judgment or attachment. This awareness allows for greater understanding and acceptance, which leads to more peace within ourselves as well as with others around us. Additionally, he discusses how mindful breathing can help reduce stress levels while also calming both body and mind. This practice has been found beneficial for those suffering from depression or anxiety disorders too. Finally, he emphasizes the importance of cultivating a sense of joy through activities such as walking meditation, something we should all strive towards if we want true happiness in life. Mindful breathing is a practice that can help us to become aware of our body and mind. It helps us to be present in the moment, allowing for greater clarity and insight into ourselves. In this chapter, Thich Nhat Hanh explains how mindful breathing can bring about inner peace by calming the nervous system and reducing stress levels. He also discusses different techniques such as counting breaths or focusing on specific parts of your body while you breathe deeply. Additionally, he emphasizes the importance of being kind towards yourself during meditation so that it becomes an enjoyable experience rather than something difficult or unpleasant. Finally, he provides guidance on how we should approach mindfulness when faced with challenging emotions like anger or fear, suggesting ways in which we might use breathwork to stay grounded even amidst strong feelings. Mindful walking is a practice that can help us to be more aware of our body and the environment around us. We should start by standing still, with both feet firmly planted on the ground, feeling each part of our body from head to toe. Then we take one step at a time while paying attention to how it feels in every moment, noticing where we place our foot, sensing its weight as it touches down, observing any sensations or emotions arising within ourselves during this process. As we walk slowly and mindfully, focusing only on what's happening right now, the sound of birds chirping nearby or wind rustling through leaves, we become deeply connected with nature and all living beings around us. This connection helps bring peace into our lives because when there is no separation between us, as individuals, and them, other people/things, then everything becomes interconnected like an infinite web without boundaries or limits. In Chapter 6, Thich Nhat Hanh explains the importance of mindful eating. He suggests that we should be aware and present when consuming food in order to appreciate its taste and nourishment. We can also use this practice as a way to cultivate mindfulness throughout our day-to-day lives by being conscious of what we are putting into our bodies. Additionally, he encourages us to take time for ourselves while preparing meals so that it becomes an enjoyable experience rather than just another chore or task on the list. Furthermore, he emphasizes how important it is not only for physical health but mental well-being too. Taking pleasure from each bite helps reduce stress levels, which leads to better overall well-being both physically and mentally. Finally, Thich Nhat Hanh reminds readers about the interconnectedness between all living things, including humans and nature itself. Therefore, if one wishes their own life force energy, chi, remains strong, then they must respect other forms of life around them through mindful consumption practices such as vegetarianism/veganism, etc. In Chapter 7, Thich Nhat Hanh discusses the importance of mindful speech. He explains that when we are aware and conscious of our words before speaking them, it can help us to avoid creating suffering for ourselves or others. We should be careful not to say anything which could cause harm in any way. Instead, we should use kind language with a compassionate attitude towards all living beings. Additionally, he encourages readers to practice deep listening so they can understand what is being said by another person without judgment or prejudice. Finally, he emphasizes how important it is for people who wish to cultivate peace within themselves and their communities through mindfulness practices such as meditation and yoga, to also extend this same awareness into their conversations with one another on a daily basis. Mindful listening is the practice of being aware and attentive to what we hear. It involves paying attention not only to the words that are spoken, but also to our own thoughts and feelings as well as those of others. We can use mindful listening in conversations with friends or family members, when attending lectures or seminars, while reading books or articles online, during meetings at work, in any situation where there is an exchange of ideas between two people or more. Mindful listening helps us become better communicators by allowing us to be present for each moment without judgment. It allows us both parties involved in a conversation feel heard and understood. Additionally, mindfulness encourages empathy, which leads towards greater understanding among all participants in a discussion. Finally, practicing mindful listening cultivates compassion within ourselves because it requires self-awareness, recognizing how our reactions affect other people's emotions and behavior patterns over time. In Chapter 9, Thich Nhat Hanh discusses the importance of mindful relationships. He explains that when we are in a relationship with someone else, it is important to be aware and present so that our interactions can become more meaningful. We should practice being attentive to each other's needs and feelings without judgment or expectation. This will help us create deeper connections with those around us as well as foster understanding between people who may have different perspectives on life. Additionally, he emphasizes how mindfulness helps cultivate compassion for ourselves and others, which leads to greater happiness within all types of relationships, romantic partnerships, friendships, family dynamics, etc. Lastly, he encourages readers not only focus on their own inner peace but also strive towards creating harmony among everyone they interact with by practicing loving speech and deep listening skills whenever possible. Chapter 10 of The Power of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh focuses on the concept and practice of mindful work. He explains that when we are aware, our actions become more meaningful because they come from a place within us that is connected to something larger than ourselves. We can use mindfulness in all aspects of life, including at work or school. It helps us stay focused and present while also allowing for creativity and innovation. Additionally, he emphasizes how important it is to take breaks throughout the day so as not to burn out mentally or physically due to overworking oneself without restful pauses between tasks. Furthermore, he encourages readers to be kinder towards themselves during times where productivity may seem low, instead focusing on being gentle with yourself rather than pushing too hard, which could lead one into an unproductive cycle filled with stress-induced anxiety about their performance levels compared against others. Finally, this chapter ends off discussing ways in which people can bring joy back into their lives through simple activities such as taking walks outside or listening closely, mindfully, to music. Both practices help restore balance after long hours spent working diligently indoors. In Chapter 11, Thich Nhat Hanh discusses the importance of mindful consumption. He explains that when we consume mindfully and with awareness, it can help us to reduce our suffering as well as contribute to a more sustainable world. We should be aware of what we are consuming in terms of food, clothing, and other items, how much energy is being used for production or transportation, where these products come from, who made them, and under what conditions they were produced. By understanding all this information about our purchases before making decisions on whether or not to buy something helps us become conscious consumers rather than mindless ones driven by desire alone. Additionally, he suggests ways such as buying locally produced goods whenever possible, which reduces environmental impact due to less transport required, while also supporting local businesses instead of large corporations whose practices may not always align with ethical values like fair wages, etc. Finally, he encourages readers towards minimalism, reducing their possessions so that there's no need for excessive shopping trips, thus helping save money too. In Chapter 12, Thich Nhat Hanh explains the importance of mindful leadership. He states that a leader must be aware and present in order to lead effectively. Leaders should practice mindfulness so they can better understand their own emotions as well as those of others around them. This will help leaders make decisions based on understanding rather than fear or anger. Additionally, he emphasizes how important it is for leaders to cultivate compassion within themselves and towards other people. This helps create an atmosphere where everyone feels respected and valued regardless of differences between individuals or groups. Finally, he encourages readers to take time each day for self-reflection in order to stay connected with one's inner wisdom, which allows us all access our highest potentials both personally and professionally. Mindful parenting is about being aware of the present moment and understanding our children's needs. It involves listening to them, responding with kindness and compassion, setting boundaries in a loving way, helping them develop self-discipline through mindfulness practice rather than punishment or reward systems. We can also use mindful communication techniques such as deep listening and speaking mindfully when interacting with our kids. Mindfulness helps us become more patient parents who are better able to handle difficult situations without resorting to anger or frustration. Finally, we should remember that it takes time for both parent and child to learn how best they can relate together. Patience will be rewarded by greater harmony within the family unit over time. In Chapter 14, Thich Nhat Hanh discusses the importance of mindful education. He explains that mindfulness is not only a practice for adults but also an important tool to help children learn and grow in their lives. The author emphasizes how teaching with awareness can create more meaningful learning experiences for students by helping them become aware of themselves and others around them. Additionally, he suggests ways teachers can incorporate mindfulness into their classrooms, such as using breathing exercises or meditation practices before class begins, creating activities which focus on developing concentration skills, encouraging self-reflection through journaling or art projects, providing opportunities to discuss emotions openly without judgment, emphasizing kindness towards oneself and others throughout lessons plans etc. Finally, Thich Nhat Hanh encourages educators to be role models who embody compassion so they may inspire young minds while guiding them along life's path with love rather than fear. In Chapter 15, Thich Nhat Hanh explains the importance of mindful living. He states that mindfulness is not only about being aware in the present moment but also involves taking responsibility for our actions and their consequences. The author encourages us to practice self-awareness by paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and body sensations as well as observing how we interact with others. Additionally, he suggests cultivating a sense of compassion towards ourselves so that we can be more understanding when faced with difficult situations or emotions. Furthermore, he emphasizes on developing an attitude of non-judgmental acceptance which allows us to accept all aspects of life without judgment or criticism. This helps create inner peace and harmony within oneself. Finally, Thich Nhat Hanh reminds readers that it takes time and effort to cultivate these qualities through regular meditation practices such as sitting stillness meditation, zazen, or walking meditations, kinhin. In Chapter 16 of The Power of Mindfulness, Thich Nhat Hanh concludes by emphasizing the importance and power that mindfulness can have in our lives. He explains how it is a practice which helps us to be more aware and present with ourselves as well as others around us. Through this awareness we are able to recognize what truly matters most in life: love, understanding, compassion and joy. We learn not only how to live peacefully within ourselves but also with those who surround us, creating an environment where everyone feels safe enough to express themselves without fear or judgment from one another. Additionally, he encourages readers not just take on these teachings for their own benefit but rather share them so they may help bring peace into other people's lives too, thus making the world a better place overall. With his words ringing true throughout this book about mindful living, there is no doubt that its message will continue inspiring generations ahead towards greater happiness both internally and externally, ultimately leading all beings closer together through mutual respect and appreciation for each other's unique paths along life's journey.